Hello, this is Fast Eddie Poco from Rings End, and we're going to talk about refreshing a deck. So we just met this young couple who just bought this house. They want to redo their deck. So I'm going to go through the stages of what I do when I look at a deck, give it a quick assessment, and talk about the options. Looking at the deck, it's only a couple inches off the ground. It's pressure treated wood, the boards aren't back primed, and what happens is the moisture underneath is coming up and starting to rot the wood. Unfortunately, this is a pretty poor design, but we can definitely refresh the deck, make it look nice for the next couple years until they can replace it with either a patio, Ipe, or a composite. The first thing I look for is to figure out what coating is on the deck. And unfortunately, they have no old cans. So what I'm going to do is a denatured alcohol test. What this does is determines what kind of coating is on the deck. Is it latex or oil? It's very important to know if it's a latex or oil, so when you go over the deck, you don't have incompatible coatings. So we're going to take the little bit of denatured alcohol, we're going to rub it on the deck, and if there's color in the rag, then we know it's latex. If there's no color on the rag, then we know it's oil. And by looking at the rag, we know that there's a solid latex coating on the deck. So now we know what options we have. Our first option would be to sand the whole deck down to bare wood, reset the nails, and put a semi-transparent or a semi-solid oil on it. But once again, we talk to the homeowners and they don't want to put the time and effort of sanding the deck down completely because they're going to probably replace it in a couple of years. So we're going to do the next best thing. We're going to come by, we're going to scrape it, we're going to palm sand the areas that are peeling, and then we're going to put a spot prime and a full coat of the Woodlux Benjamin Moore 694 solid stain. And the good option going with a solid stain is you can do a complete color change. Whereas the other options, you would need to stick with the similar color because you would see all the material in the grain. So we're just going to do a minimal prep job, but we want to do enough prep where that the coating doesn't pop off in the next few months. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to scrape all the bad areas. So we're going to take the 5-in-1 and I'm just going to give it a great scrape just to remove all the loose coating so we have a sound surface for the Woodlux stain to stick to. And here's a good spot. What I'm talking about is moisture. As you can see how wet this wood is, because it's so low to the ground, the moisture has nowhere to escape. And if you look at the back of the chip, it's actually not the paint that's peeling, it's actually the wood fibers delaminating from the wood. And this is common in every New England deck. So as we're scraping here, we don't want to scrape too hard because we don't want to scrape the whole deck, but we do want to get to somewhat of a sound surface. After that, this is one of the most important things. If you're ever going to pull out a sander and sand a deck, you got to make sure you reset the nails. The reason why is if you sand over the nails, you're going to take the galvanization off the nails and it's going to cause it to rust. Have you ever looked at a deck where you see all these rust spots? It's impossible to get rid of. So you got to be very careful not to take the galvanization off the nails while you're sanding. And we're just resetting them a little bit. It doesn't have to be everyone, just the ones that are pronounced. So obviously working with Rings End, we get the best tool. So I got the Surf Prep sander here, but you can use any palm sander you need just to sand out the edges. What I recommend is starting with 120. The most important thing to do when you're sanding is you make sure you sand with the grain. So as you can see here, we give it a light sand with 120, and what we did is we feathered the edges. This way it's not a sharp edge. So when it snows and rains, it's a lot harder for the moisture to get under the edge of the paint film and pop it. So now as we did our proper preparation, we're gonna spot prime all the bare wood with the Woodlux solid latex stain. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna spot prime all the areas with bare wood. Just give a little extra protection, help lock down the edges. And you can see, being a Benjamin Moore product, you can't beat the coverage. And once again, with the waterborne Gen X platform, it gives you superior fade resistance. After 4 hours of dry time, we're gonna recoat the whole deck. And being Benjamin Moore, we should get this in one coat. The reason why I only want to put one coat is because I want to make it as breathable as possible so the moisture can come through the wood and allow the paint not to peel. And it's just nice and easy. And the reason why I like this process better than a roller is because we're actually getting it into the grain. So when painting a deck, you want to go all the way from the beginning to the end, 3 or 4 boards down. If you try to go this way and keep on going this way, you're going to leave lap marks. So you always pick 2, 3, or 4 boards, whatever you can handle, and come all the way down, then start again. And we want to keep a wet edge, so you don't want to stop in the middle of the deck. You want to finish your 4 boards before taking a break. Thanks for watching. The deck is looking great. If you want to learn more, visit us at ringsend.com, check out our blog, or visit a local Rings End. Thank you for watching. This is Fast Eddie Poco. Woo!